everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel. We are going to have a great time today because I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use your dies in your stash. And we're going to make some really fun fall cards. We are going to get into a lot of different techniques, and I kept it in the video because I thought it would be fun. I haven't really crafted with you like this in a while, and so I really wanted to start it off with these techniques. Now I'm pulling out some watercolor markers. These are from Davenport. They're called Mermaid markers. But use what you have or use watercolor. And really the technique that's fun here is spritzing your watercolor cardstock with some water and then coming in with your paint and just watching the magic happen. So you can see there's more than just my hands in this video. My daughter, she's 13, she wanted to play and I said, yes, let's do it. So we just pulled these out, and like I said, we're making some fall kind of backgrounds, but I do more than that, and I'll show you some of the finished cards or finished backgrounds. But we just wanted to have some fun, and that is really what A, crafting is all about, but B, watercoloring. It's just super duper fun. So we're going to go through and I'm going to speed this up and just show you some of the different techniques. Now I went down all the center of this watercolor cardstock here with some water, and just look at the magic that is the watercolor technique. It's just so much fun. Now you can kind of contain your color if you don't spray the whole cardstock. That's why I just went down with the water brush and kind of brushed on the clear water all the way down, and this way the color is going to stick to where the water is, and so it's just really a lot of fun. I want to encourage you to get in there and just play with what you have and just have a good time. I think sometimes we overthink it. If you're like me, I think overthink it all the time, so I've really tried to stop doing that and just go in and see what I get. Plus, experimentation really is the key to finding out what new techniques you love, and then how your products and your supplies work. So you just really have to just give it a go. That's the wet look. I'll come back and show you what it looks like dried. But I wanted to keep in ADHESIVE because she did one on her own, and you can just tell this is a different, I did that one, but you can tell just by watching, even though it's sped up, she was just having such a good time. So the first thing she does is spritz her cardstock here, and then she's going to go in and just drop in color. She wanted to make sort of a winter scene. We just did a fall one, so she wanted to have a background for a winter card, and she's doing just all different kinds of techniques. She's spritzing the water, dropping in the color. She picked up some of it, added more water, and then she's going to use a little technique where she puts the clear water brush attached, kind of like links it with the watercolor water brush, and then she gets more color on. So she's just experimenting. She's just having a good time. And I definitely wanted to keep this in so you can kind of see just how playful this process can be. And while she's coloring up, I'll just put a little reminder in. If you did not get a chance to hang out with us during the scrapbook.com fest that happened last weekend, 16th, 17th of September, then you can go watch the replay. It was so much fun, and you can even watch the chat, I believe, as it goes through the replay. But my class was on day 2, and it was the second class in after Vicky Booten, and I show you a really neat mirror technique for your cards, and so I just had a blast with everyone. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out, that's over on the scrapbook.com channel. I'll link it below, and you can check that out as well. All right, let's look at some of the finished cards here. Now, these are all dried up. I think they're just so fun. Now, some of these I made off camera. I was just having a great time having my supplies out again, just experimenting. That's the first one we showed, little fall background. Now, I'm showing you these backgrounds, but one of them I had already cut up with my dies. The first technique, of course, with our dies is going to be to die cut them. Now, you can do that out of white cardstock, or you can do it out of cardstock that you've already colored up. I did it out of both, so I die cut off screen my dies for my autumn leaf dies. This is from scrapbook.com. This is what they're called, autumn leaves, and you get that grateful sentiment, and you get some acorns too, which I did not cut out. But that's the first thing. So I die cut them through this watercolor piece that I had made, and then when you die cut them with these dies, they leave a little embossing on. So what I did was there's veining in there. And I just took some pops of color in the champagne color, and I just filled in the veins with that glitter pops of color. And so now we have this really beautiful, elegant type of look for our dies. The other way, like I said, is to just die cut them right through white cardstock. Now, I used watercolor cardstock because I'm going to be showing you a technique if you wanted to do it that way, where you die cut them first and then color them. I'm just going to take my little slick mat here and add a little bit of Distress Oxides to this, and then I'm going to spritz with water and dip in the little die cuts into the color. Now, if this is regular cardstock, you want to be careful because they might pill a little bit or just not look the same. The watercolor cardstock, I have no qualms about. I know that it's going to be able to withstand the water. And so I would recommend that, but I believe you can still use this technique as long as they don't get sopping wet with water if you're using just regular cardstock. So that is the other technique that you can do to get your images colored up. I thought it was a little faster to do it this way though, where you have a piece of cardstock that's already good and colored and then die cut them. Now let's move into the next thing. Do not throw away your pieces when you die cut them, because you can use it for a stencil. And so the first stenciling technique I'm going to show you is with ink blending. So I'm taking out some fall colors from my Distress Oxide inks, and I'm just going in and back and forth using different colors, and I'm just getting a beautiful mix here that's going to give me that really nice fall look. So look at that. You use the negatives from your die cuts and you get a stencil. And so now I'm making a background. I see some gaps here, so I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to fill that, make sure I cover it with some mint tape so that I don't get color everywhere. And then I'm just going to go back in and color this up. And so, yeah, you can use that. Just don't toss your stuff right away. See if there's another way that you can use it. Plus, it just keeps the fun going. You know what I mean? So here we have our finished background. Now this is very stark white, so I'm going to show you how I soften that just a little bit, but I don't really cover it up. I like that stark white on this. It's kind of pretty. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my mini finger brush here. I cannot recommend these brushes enough. They are fantastic, and they help so that you can kind of isolate where you want your color a little bit more, and I really, really like that. So they are actually like the ink blending brushes. They're actual little bristles. They're not foam. So I'll link those below. I got mine from Amazon. Check them out. So there's our finished panel, and now we're just going to do some final touches on it. I have some glitter cardstock here. This is from the Metals paper pad, and I'm going to cut off about a quarter, no, that's probably half an inch, about a half an inch, and I'm going to make a belly band. So I'm going to place that a little bit down from the center though. I'm going to use my tape runner to adhere that, and like I said, it's not going to go directly across the center of my cardstock. It's going to go more a little bit down, and that's so that I can have some of the leaves and my sentiment kind of pop off. I didn't want them, for some reason I just didn't want them in the center. Also, that tape runner is very strong, so be very careful when you're placing it down, because once you're stuck, you're stuck. Now I laid out how I wanted my leaves, and then I'm going to use some press and seal to pick those up so that I can just keep them all together. And then I'm going to dot some glue right on the back here, and I'm going to then place it right down where I want it on my project. So I loved this added dimension. They're the same leaves, but they're the ones that I die cut and put a little bit of pops of color on. But I love the dimension that sort of pulls from the background and then brings them to life in the front. So I thought that was a lot of fun. So I'm just going to get those all glued down. I put this heavy block on top of it just to hold it so it'll glue really nicely, because we are working on glitter cardstock and a lot of bulk. And then I'm going to go in and, using my tweezers to help with placement, I'm just going to put down my sentiment. Now, this sentiment does come in this Autumn Leaves die set. Also, the bubble part for the background of the Grateful comes as well, but I didn't need to use it for this one. Now I wanted to show you something really cool about scrapbook.com products. So here I have some pops of color and I have some paper from the metals pack, and they match perfectly. So I thought that was a lot of fun. So I just pulled out that glitter pops of color and I'm just going to add those to my card, and then it pulls everything together and it's nicely coordinated. So there's the finished card for the first one. So one of the things I really love about this is just getting a chance to use my products in more than just the way they're intended. That always really makes me happy. All right, let's move into the next way to stencil, and that is with sprays. So if you have sprays in your stash and you're looking for ways to use them, I took the same exact pieces I used to ink blend, and now I'm going to use my Distress Stain sprays. And I picked out some colors that were fall-like, and I'm just going to spray them on there. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm like, there's no way this is going to keep shape. Like, I did not think I was going to pull this away and be able to see leaves. I wasn't convinced because it just looked really splotchy. But because these are shorter than the slimline card I'm making, I wanted to also add that I put a piece of white cardstock on there to cover that side. But look at this. Now they will dry back a little bit, so they'll be a little more subdued color, but wow, look at the fall-like realness, the reality of that. It looks so pretty. So then I'm just gonna hold up that card so I don't spray my spray everywhere, and now I'm just filling in the gaps. So I'm going through, and that works. That little technique there with my left hand holding that cardstock there just to cover, that works fine. So I'm just going to go back and do that, and then I'm going to fill it in all the way. So where I see gaps, I'm going to make sure that I get in there. And then this is the finished card. Now this one I did not want to keep stark white. So what I did was took my larger blending brush and some brown colors. So the first one I used is Vintage Photo, and I'm going to cover the whole thing. Now, of course, make sure this is completely dry or else you're just going to make a mess. But I pulled in Vintage Photo and then Ground Espresso for the edges. And then I'm going to even come in with another one, and I'm going to add Black Soot. Black Soot at the very final touch, which is going to go right around the edges. That is going to draw in the centerpiece of this to make it even brighter. So I got rid of all the white, but now because I'm using that Black Soot, it kind of makes that contrast between your colors. And so this is going to be the final pick. Now, I wanted to go through and use the rest of my leaves as sort of the focal point and use that background as the shadow. So if any of you are disappointed that I did that, I was too, because I did not want to cover up the gloriousness that was the colors I got from that Distress spray. So I decided to knock those off and just keep the background as is. So I then pulled out my sentiments. These are from High Fall. That's the name of the stamp set. All this stuff will be linked below if you wanted to check it out closer. But I'm just going to take my sentiment and do something I've never done before and just stamp all over my cardstock. I just went for it. I just went for it. I don't know where this idea came from, but I was like, let me just do that. And it almost gave me a mixed media feel, which made me very excited because I'm not really into mixed media much. I don't try it. I love it. I just don't try it. So then I'm going to finish off this card with this favorite technique of mine, and that is to use pops of color with this little stylus kind of tool. It has a little ball on the end, and you can get these perfect little dots. And so I put them all over my project, and I just love the way that looked, and it's a really fun addition to your projects. And so I've been doing that a lot lately. You'll see in a couple of my videos. I also wanted to share this card really quickly. It's an additional card I made. I took the watercolor cardstock and I scored it about 1/4 inch on each side, and so it made sort of this frame. So if you want to keep your card simple, you can do this technique. And then I added those leftover leaves and the sentiment thankful. So I'm going to show you some more still shots of the cards. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this really inspired you to pull out your supplies and just have fun and not overthink it, because that's what crafting is all about. It's just having a great time, experimenting, and giving back to ourselves. I will list everything I used in this video below in the description box if you want to check it out and have a closer look. I'll also put some other links to additional forums where we could connect, Instagram, Facebook, and if you'd like to join my mailing list where I send out free printable downloads and updates as well as sales. I'll see you all in the comments down below and in the next video. Bye-bye.